Abdullah Sabrati. Please unmute.
Thank you. Hello. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So I'll try to begin. Is that okay? All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and cherished colleagues, a very warm and delightful day to each one of you. In this enchanting morning and becoming an afternoon in my town, let us to take a moment to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. It is a reminder of the wonders that await us each day if only we choose to embrace with open hearts. Today, we stand at this conference as an exciting intellectual journey as we believe that now the COVID-19 pandemic has ended. As we embark on this path, let us do so with a spirit of collaboration, empathy, and kindness, for it is these values that elevate our endeavor and strengthen to the bond that unite us. I will try to make my speech more or less than 20 minutes so that we stay fresh and excited. Thanks to the speaker before my sessions. Thanks for coming to my city in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. You have also seen Prambanan Temple and so about the Borobudur. You have also seen the temple of Jago in Malang City, and then also Kidal Temple. You also haven't mentioned that the existence of Kalinga Kingdom in Java with the Queen of Dewi Sima as the transformative leader in her day. Your speech and lecture will be very extraordinary, and this need to be disseminated in more seriously in the future. If not scientists and intellectuals, who else would want to do it? Your lecture uh, was extraordinary as an Indonesian, as a non-Indonesian. You are very good Indonesianist from India. If I become the minister one day in a related field in the Republic of Indonesia, I will propose all of you to get the honorary citizenship because your role and knowledge are very important for the existence of civilization in this country. All right. The relationship between Kalinga in India and the ancient Indonesian period known as Nusantara is historically significant and has been characterized by cultural, trade, and diplomatic interaction. We can see at least from the past period, Kalinga and ancient kingdom in eastern India, present day as Odisha, had a strong cultural ties with various Southeast Asian regions, including the Nusantara. Cultural exchange between India and Southeast Asia occurred through maritime trade route that facilitated the spread of ideas, art, religion, and language. Indian merchants and sailors had been sailing to the Indonesian archipelago for centuries, and they played a crucial role in connecting the region. This trade connection allowed for the exchange of goods such as spices, textile, and precious metal. This maritime trade routes significantly shaped the early civilization in Southeast Asia, including those in the Nusantara. Like many other parts of ancient India, Kalinga was a center of Hindu and Buddhist culture. With the expansion of this religion in the Indian subcontinent, they also spread to Southeast Asia, including the Nusantara. Indian epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, as well as Hindu and Buddhist art and architecture, influenced the societies in the regions. Over the time, of course, Indian cultural influence led to the rise of Indianized kingdom in Southeast Asia, where local rules adopted Hindu, Buddhist practices, and the Sanskrit language. This Indianized kingdom, such as Sriwijaya in Sumatra and Majapahit in Java, played essential role in shaping the region's history and cultural development. More than that, if we take a context in the international relations, diplomatic missions were exchanged between India Kingdom and Southeast Asian Kingdom, fostering political intellectual interaction. Indian scholars and traders also traveled to Nusantara, contributing to the spread of knowledge and ideas. Sanskrit became a lingua franca for religious, scholarly, administrative purposes in many parts of Southeast Asia. This language facilitated communication between different kingdoms and was widely used for inscription and official document. It's essential to understand that the interaction between Kalinga and Nusantara were part of a broader network of trade and cultural exchange that connected the Indian subcontinent with various parts of Southeast Asia. This exchange significantly shaped the history, art, religion, and language of the Southeast Asian region during the ancient period. Now, I'll try to make a current context in Indonesia that the history of music dangdut is truly connected with the Indian precious history. The history of dangdut music in Indonesia began in 1960. The genre combines various elements of traditional music such as Malay music, gamelan music, and Indian music. The influence of Indian music on dangdut mainly comes from India film music, which was popular at that time. Although there is this Indian cultural influences in dangdut music over the time, dangdut has undergone significant development and formed its own identity in Indonesia. In recent decades, dangdut music has evolved and absorbed various elements of pop, rock, and electronic music. Dangdut music is a popular genre in Indonesia, like Gangnam Style in Korea, that has a rich cultural heritage and strong connection to international relations. It has been influenced by various musical traditions and has played a significant role in shaping cultural link between Indonesia and India. The Nusantara region was inspired by the extension of observed from the Indian past period. Dangdut music originated in 1970s and is characterized by its fusion of various musical styles, including Indian classical music, Malay folk music, Arabic rhythm, and Western pop. In today's context, dangdut music continues to maintain the cultural link between Indonesia and India. It served as a bridge that connects the two nations through its rhythmic pattern, melodic structure, and dance elements. The influence of Indian classical music can be observed in the vocal techniques and the ornamentation of employed by dangdut singers. Moreover, the use of traditional Indian instruments such as tabla and sitar in dangdut composition further reinforce the cultural connection. Dangdut music is a genre of popular music in Indonesia that has a root in Indian music. Roma Irama, who is often revered as the king of dangdut, is one of the main pioneers of dangdut music in Indonesia. He played an important role in developing and commercializing this genre. In 1970s, Roma Irama introduced new style of dangdut by combining elements of Indian and Malay and also Arabic music with a lyric that reflected everyday life. He often used traditional instruments such as tabla, harp, and drums in his song. Roma Irama is also known for his energetic appearance and distinctive stage style. In the 1980s, dangdut music underwent further development by incorporating elements of pop, rock, and disco into its musical. Along with the development of technology and globalization, dangdut music now increased transformed to become more modern and diverse. In 1990s, this genre began to be influenced by international pop music and adopted element of electronic music. Today, the dangdut music is also known as koplo gangre, also emerged with the use of modern instruments such as keyboard and electronic drums. Furthermore, dangdut music also contribute to international relations by becoming popular beyond Indonesian borders. The Gangre has gained recognition in neighboring Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia and Brunei. This has facilitated cultural exchange and fostered a sense of shared heritage within the region. Dangdut music carries the trace of international relations and cultural legacies between Indonesia, the Nusantara region, and India. Its evolution and fusion of musical style reflect the historical connection between these regions, particularly through the influence of the Kalinga kingdom in Ling and serve as a testament to the vibrant and diverse musical heritage of Southeast Asia. International cultural mission can be involved artist exchange and collaboration between dangdut musicians and musicians from other countries. International scale concert, music festival, and art exhibition are several ways to introduce dangdut music to audience in various parts of the world. This will enable wider recognition and increased appreciation of dangdut music at the international level. At the International Cultural Mission, and the further activities also play education and research program to study and appreciate dangdut music. Cultural centers, educational institutions, and universities can collaborate to develop curricula that incorporate elements of dangdut music that conduct seminar, workshop, or research focused on the study of dangdut music. Now, in the age of social media, they have a play an important role. It is how digital platforms have an important role to play in promoting music and cultural globally. International cultural mission can use social media and digital platform to introduce dangdut music to international audience. Digital campaign, music streaming, and music video can help create dangdut music presence on global platform and reach new listener and new connections. International cultural mission are ongoing endeavors and involve collaboration between government, artists, cultural institutions, and communities. The aim is to broaden the understanding, appreciation, and influence of country's culture and international level connection, including the extending of dangdut music and reconnected with Indian music. And I'd like to end my session. The musical relations between dangdut music in Indonesia and the great history of India is an interesting and complex cultural exchange that has influenced and enriched both countries' musical tradition and some critical notes for the future. The musical connection between dangdut music in Indonesia and India history can be traced back to the centuries of cultural exchange and trade between the two regions. Indian influences, including music, dance, instrument, have left a lasting impact on Indonesian culture. Dangdut music exhibit clear element of Indian classic music as certain ragas melodic frameworks, rhythmic pattern, and vocal ornamentation. This fusion of Indian element with Indonesian style has given birth to a unique vibrant musical genre. While dangdut music draw from Indian musical tradition, it has evolved and adapted to suit the local tastes and preferences to the Indonesian listener. Has also contributed to the widespread of popularity and cultural significance of dangdut Indonesia and around the world. Dangdut music now has played crucial role in Indonesian identity and cultural expression. It has become a symbol of Indonesian nationalism, providing a sense of unity and shared heritage among the diverse population. To maintain the authenticity of the uniqueness of the dangdut music, it is essential to preserve the traditional Indian musical elements that are integral to its foundation. Encouraging the study and practice of Indian classical music within Indonesian music education can help achieve this goal. And the recommendation for the further collaboration is enrich Working together, artists from the both countries can explore new avenues of creativity, innovative fusion that honor their shared history and experiences. Organizing cultural exchange program and music festival that showcase both dangdut music and Indian classical music can foster a deeper understanding and appreciation of each musical heritage among audiences from both countries. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, as we draw the curtain on this remarkable international conference, I stand here humble and inspired by the wealth of knowledge, expertise, and collaboration that has filled this hall over the past few days. This gathering has truly been a testament to the power of unity and shared purpose in addressing the global challenges we face today. And without music, life would be blind. Thank you and very good morning.